Hey everyone, happy Thursday to you. Many of us have been led to believe that the responsibility of coming up with a stadium for the Oakland Raiders rests in the lap of Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. In fact, there's one person, more than anyone, that has really driven home this idea and repeats it to the media pretty much every chance he gets, either directly or indirectly. And that's Oakland Raiders owner Mark Davis. In fact, while he was in Boca Raton for the NFL annual meeting, he told a group of reporters who really seemed to turn their critical thinking levers off in their brain, oh, hey, there's nothing happening in Oakland. And some of the people have repeated this, thinking that they know more about what's happening in Oakland than, for example, I do. And they don't live here. They live in, say, for example, either New York or Los Angeles. But I digress. Mark has driven this home, even though the truth of the matter is that Mark has been holding back what's really going on from you through the media. And the media has eaten up what he said like lapdogs. But here's the truth, folks. And no, I'm not saying that Mark Davis is lying, not at all. In fact, Mr. Spock in Star Trek once said that it is not a lie to keep the truth to oneself. Now, from what I understand about this whole stadium process, Mark Davis is just as much a Star Trek fan as I am. And so with that, Davis has held back the other part of what's really going on, the other truth. He's told one truth, but here's the other. The truth is that the Raiders haven't done anything either. And the reason they haven't done anything is as much procedural, in fact, more procedural than ideological. In February, Mark Davis and the Raiders announced they hired Larry McNeil, who is formerly Chief Financial Officer and Stadium Consultant to the San Francisco 49ers in the capacity of, well, pretty much the same thing. Not so much Chief Financial Officer, but Business Affairs Manager and Stadium Consultant. The bottom line is that what they didn't tell you, what the Raiders held back from all of us in terms of information, what has not been reported until now, is that Mr. McNeil would not start his job until April 1st. That's right, and that is not an April Fool's story, folks. That is fact. Larry McNeil didn't start his job until last Friday, technically. And Mark Bedane, the Oakland Raiders president, has had to wait for McNeil to get started because he had things to get out of the way before any meetings could be scheduled to get everybody on track to build a stadium in Oakland. That series of meetings is supposed to happen later this month of April. Bedane is trying to get McNeil together, and when he does, and the date is set, that meeting will consist of Larry McNeil, Mark Bedane, members of the City of Oakland and Alameda County staff, a couple of members perhaps of the Joint Powers Authority, and perhaps Mark Davis, although that's not certain. From what I understand, Mark Davis may not be in those meetings, but I expect him to be. That's right now, it's all in Bedane's lap, who needs to get McNeil in place so that everything else can fall into place. Okay? Now, Mark Davis has went on a tear criticizing Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, and I understand his frustration, and Libby could have done and still can present her vision for stadium plan. Everybody in town wants her to say something. People are waiting. Libby, what's going on? But the bottom line is, before you say, hey, does Mark have something against Libby personally and all this, it's not personal. It's procedural. Because you have to remember, and I consistently remind myself of this, that when Oakland Mayor Jean Quan, for all of the criticism she has endured, was mayor, the relationship between the Raiders and the city of Oakland was excellent, as they used to say, peachy keen, right? Pled Blackwell was the chief administrative officer. He was the city's point person on stadiums. He had a focus, an interest, and understanding that is to date lacking. And as one council person told me today, and a reiteration of something that I've heard again and again and again, there's no one, something I've already known. I knew that when I presented my spreadsheet to Scott McKibben and Rebecca Kaplan, the Oakland at-large council member, last May of 2015, my spreadsheet plan for the Raiders and the Athletics for stadiums down there, with that infamous hotel idea that some people don't like, that I assert can work. But I digress. They said then they had no one at the city that was a point person, a true point person where that was their one job, who had developed the stadium spreadsheet where they could try different scenarios. Mine was the only one. Still is. Still is. Okay? Still is. You hearing me? Still is. So, but I digress. Mark Davis, has said that he doesn't like what Libby says in the press. But on the other hand, Mark has acted as Libby's mirror image, making negative statements either directly or indirectly about the city of Oakland to the media. Maybe, I'm thinking maybe Libby should bring in Gene Kwan as a consultant. But okay. It's just an idea. Look, Libby and her folks have to understand that Gene has, for the present, still damaged herself politically because of the Occupy issue and the memories from that. So the idea that she can maybe catapult herself to run for re-election as mayor, I don't think that's going to happen. She will run for something because Jean feels like she has some incomplete work on her, I think, personal legacy, and that's true. But the bottom line is it's not going to be mayor. Now, if you don't like that idea of having Jean on as consultant, do what everyone else says, and I say that Libby should do. Make Scott McKibben the executive director of the Oakland Alameda County Joint Powers Authority, the lead stadium negotiator for the city. From what I understand, Claudia Capio, who's currently the point person, would have no problem with that. Everyone that I've talked to, or has talked to someone else who talks to me, or who's talked to someone else who talks to someone else who talks to me, has told me that Scott McKibben is the only person in the city of Oakland or the county of Alameda who has the combination of expertise and relationships to effectively negotiate a deal on behalf of the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda and the people to get the stadium done. Scott's not running for election. He's not an elected official. He's not trying to be. He's trying to keep the teams here. I think Libby should do that. That's what needs to happen. So that's the update, folks. There you go. Stay tuned.